it is really, really dangerous, especially when it comes to inhaling. Many times, as you're telling me now, I remember sometimes when you use handkerchief to remove some stuff from your nostrils, you see some black stuff. It is not good for the health. Health is number one because it is very dangerous for our health. No one will take it into our body. One of the ways it affects me, also when you wash your clothes and dry it outside, especially those white, it makes it stains and look dirty.
This blackish carbon, you can't see, they're not visible. But each time you wake up in the morning, on the roofs, in the door, in your houses, you see them staining everywhere. Everywhere, you see them black and not touched. Even sometimes in the car, everywhere. This, it is according to people, they say it is almost at night. It comes most at night. By the time you wake up in the morning, you see the whole house, every other place dark with all these stains of ash that are black. Sleeping in those kind of conditions, matter of here, some of those things. It's like smoking, which is dangerous to the health.
Breathing is very important, and the air you breathe is very important. And I know that this air is polluted, and that is carbon, a kind of carbon monoxide, if I'm not wrong. So nobody will be healthy enough, if particularly children. I have been coughing for the past 1 month. I don't know whether that is the cause or not. Like earlier, this afternoon after service, I was trying to tidy up, to pack things. By the time I realized it, my palms, everywhere was black. My hands, your table, your boxes, your sitting room, your curtains, your windows, everywhere. It's everywhere.
We of the Amadiama, the Ofime, Abloma axis and Okuru axis in Transamadi area on Pitodili Road. Hear me, you cannot spread white cloth 5 minutes. And then moreover, when you leave your clothes overnight, you're in trouble. If you go to my sitting room and my bedroom now, it's all black. It has not stopped. If anybody says it has stopped, tell the person I'm saying they are lying.
Health-wise, economically, domestically, just mention them. It's too bad. And the worst is that the government is not taking responsibility. The state government is blaming the federal government is blaming the state. They are accusing Endorama. In fact, nobody is taking responsibility, and the residents are in for it. They are the major one that are expected. So I think we are helpless here.
Our environmental pollution is a reality that many Nigerians have always had to live with, especially those resident in the Niger Delta region.
Yes, indeed. Now, but since November 2016, residents of Port Harcourt, Rivers State, have been facing a new kind of danger: rising black salt particles in the air, leaving salt residue on surfaces and out of their homes. The black salt is believed to cause respiratory diseases and even cancer of the lungs.
The Ministry of Health says that it is caused by incomplete combustion of hydrocarbons, as well as asphalt processing and illegal refining of crude oil. In 2017, the federal government shut down 3 companies operating in the state for allegedly operating machines that emit high magnitude of hydrocarbon into the atmosphere. And for a while, the Soot stopped, but it appears that it has fully returned, and residents of River State are once again in a panic. Well, joining us now from Port Harcourt is the chairman, Civil Society Coalition for Environmental Sustainability, Young Kigbara. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this time, Kigbara. Well, Kigbara,
right, if
hello,
Young Kigbara can hear us, we can hear you loud and clear. Can you confirm that you can hear us, please?
Oh. I'm hearing you.
Very good.
All right then.
I can hear you.
Okay, very good to have you with us this morning. Well, the situation going on in Port Harcourt at the moment, Right, some have blamed illegal refineries and illegal activities. Is that what it is, you being on ground?
Well, it is not completely so that it is, you can heap it on just illegal refineries and the oil industries alone. You see, the manufacturing sector also is contributing to that. You know that what is happening here is a situation where you have a sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide mixing up with the moisture in the air and falling back sometimes as rain. I mean, acid rain upon us here. That has a very dangerous situation. But again, Soots here are not just black alone. They are also white. They are ash in color. And so when it gets so chronic, you now see it in form of dark, mixtures being emitted into the air. It is far more than that. A combination of the activities of illegal refineries, the activities of the oil industry, the manufacturing sector in Transamadi and other parts of Port Harcourt, the vehicles emit, these charges. Some of the vehicles are so poor, so poor to the extent that they do not have anything that should warrant them to be on the roads. But there's nothing even our, what we call the road safety is doing about that. Some of them, the moment it begins to if you kickstart the engine, what you see is a very chronic, a release or emission of these smokes. It's a combination of all these that forms what we call Soots in the Port Harcourt environment today.
And we do hear that the Minister of Environment had declared some kind of state, an emergency in the air, actually calling it air pollution emergency. Since that emergency was declared, how much difference really has it made to this appearance of salt in Port Harcourt atmosphere?
It's unfortunate in the sense that here in this part of the world, I think that what our government is doing is they are learning how to speak English language. I don't see any action that has accompanied that statement that they made. There is nothing that they are doing. There is nothing that you see they are doing. Every day, people keep suffering from this. In fact, observably now, around the areas that I live in Port Harcourt, I can see a whole lot of children already suffering from that. There is nothing that shows that there is a presence of any government doing anything serious here. There is nothing that is happening. Emergency situations, of course, you should know that is always part of our government. They are always declaring emergencies on situations that are critical, yet they are doing no action.
Wow.
All right. Now, of course, the United Nations Environmental Assessment 2011, of course, talked about the cleanup of the environment beyond the report itself. You being within the region, have you seen any action?
That's what I'm saying. That it is frustrating to even think that we even have a government that is responsible. If you think that you have a responsible government, then you probably will be living or maybe taking another government for your own government. Ever since this happened, ever since the government announced that they were taking it seriously and they were going to do something serious, we have not seen any critical action taking place. Yes, they have set up the machinery according to them, but in these machineries, they have no funds. Even the high prep that was set up has no funds to do any work. At the moment, IPREP is almost comatose. There's nothing that IPREP is doing. There's no capacity. There's no, in terms of finance, IPREP cannot carry out even to buy a pin. And that is the government, that is a body, an agency you have entrusted, the cleanup process, you've asked to handle the cleanup process.
It's almost unthinkable, really, that federal government, state, and even the local level is really not doing anything to solve this environmental hazard. We do gather that there was a task force set up to investigate the matter while, people were warned to stay indoors, or shut their windows when they're indoors and all of that. What can you tell us about public enlightenment? Is there any going on at all to explain, first off, what this black matter is hanging over the skies of Rivers State, especially in Port Harcourt, and how people can actually protect themselves?
Well, at the moment, I don't think that there is any public enlightenment that is on. If it had happened, it just happened maybe for once. Yes, the state government also did something like that, but then it has stopped. But the problem is on. How could you do a one-off public enlightenment when the problem is continuous?
All right.
And so I think that any reasonable government should continuously,
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Or as any responsible government should continuously, keep giving enlightenment to the people, sensitizing the people on how best they can live their life within this period, while they begin to think out processes or measures to see how they can cope this menace. But it's so disappointing because, one, I give you an instance. In the case of the illegal refineries, there was a time that the federal government, the vice president visited here, and he met with leaders of this region and promised them a whole lot of things that they were going to do. And they left back. Within that period, there was a period that we observed that these suits, particularly the ones that were generated by fire, the illegal refineries, ceased. But after then, the people resumed when the federal government didn't do anything. And of course, what we're hearing from even legislators of the party that is ruling is that how can they tell, because then they had asked some oil companies to, go back to the Niger Delta here. Bring back the headquarters to the Niger Delta. They can't operate in the Niger Delta and keep the headquarters elsewhere. But we see some people who are in the National Assembly, particularly Bajamila, who said that cannot happen. And so you begin to understand where that is the leader of the National Assembly, particularly the House of Reps, of a particular party that wants to solve a problem, who is countering the leadership of his own party from solving the problem. So you see the whole lot of confusion. And that's exactly why you see right now the level of artificial refining has increased. And we are getting far more emissions of this soot into the air. Around the place I live, what I see every day, you see a whole lot of children every day are having cough. What is it? They are having things that are symptoms of what you could call bronchitis. People are going through asthma situations. Sometimes you find it very difficult to breathe. Those are respiratory problems that you are getting from this situation. The oil companies who also flare gases are not also helping. There appear not to be a clear, a legislation on these processes. Let me give you an example of what happened in the U.S. somewhere around 2012. Yeah. There's this act they call, Clean Air Act. Mm-hmm. The Clean Air Act gives, empowers the EPA, that is the American Environmental Protection Agency, to over time be adjusting, the standards, standards for companies that emit, that emit soot into the air. Yeah. And over time, they also give you what you have to pay if you emit beyond certain limits. Mm-hmm. And so the standards are set. But somewhere around 2012, they didn't do it early, but they were sued by the District of Columbia. The local District of Columbia, the court there. They were sued and the court ordered them by June 2012. They had to respond to it, and they did. Here, what is happening? Our courts, our judicial system working, our government taking responsibility of what they should be doing. We see a situation where people don't appear to understand why they're in government. You are in governance, you are in government, you are doing that because you want to solve problems. Governance is about solving problems. It's about development, and development is about solving problems. You can't come to a governance and there has been a problem, and you can't attend to that problem.
We gather that some Chinese companies were shut down, some 3 Chinese companies or so. Are you saying there's been no difference at all since this Chinese company was shut down, and any sanctions at all on these companies that emit poisonous gas or toxic waste into the atmosphere?
They were shut down, but they have reopened, and there is no penalties. What penalties did they pay? What is that is going to discourage them? They are not discouraged. They have reopened them, and they are still working. Apart from the Chinese company, there are a whole lot of other companies that are doing so, and no one is telling them anything. That's what we are talking about.
All right, Young. What are civil society coalitions like yours doing to hold government accountable?
Yeah, before now we were working individually as civil society, but we have come together on this process now. We are beginning to get organized. Part of the problems we have here is that most civil society do not have the capacity to carry out, actions that they should be carried out. And we're trying to now sensitize them. We're trying to also give them the capacity at the moment. We are believing that before the end of this quarter, We will be taking up critical actions against the government. Normally, what civil society do is to pressure government through campaigns, pressure government through letter writings. We will do a whole lot of what we should be doing as civil society to influence government, to make sure government gives far more attention to these issues.
I'm curious too, just in line with that question that I just asked you. Have you been able to come up with some kind of, independent tests, to carry out independent tests that you are able to determine exactly what the substances in this sort is, and of course, maybe the level of danger to the general populace?
No, at the moment, no. But that's exactly where we are going to, because when I talked about capacity, I'm talking about capacity in that direction, because most of us are advocates. Most of us are not into that, and which means that we're going to hire independent and, of course, certified ones to do the work so that no one can fault it. That's what we want to do. But again, that needs some fundings. We are trying to also look for some fundings from elsewhere. Since SLAC has volunteered to support us in that process, there are other organizations that have volunteered, but we're yet to have those fundings. But we want to give capacity to our organizations so that they can determine that. We can assess, we can analyze, we can also, interpret the data that will be given in that process, so that we can ascertain exactly what people have suffered, the contamination, the extent of contamination that has been caused by Soot.
All right, Port Harcourt residents are appealing to the federal and state governments to do something urgently about the substance. Let's hear what they have to say.
The River State government, our able governor, told us the other day that the cause of the Soot is from illegal refineries that are being destroyed by the military. The Ministry of Environment too should come into it, and whatever the River State government has to do, it could do, so that the Soot will cease.
I don't know how they will do it, but I think the government should help us, and any other person that can help.
The government know about this black Soot. They know how they can solve it. It's very easy for them to solve, but they don't want to do it. I don't know why. If you are a resident of Port Harcourt, you will know that this thing has been organized since. But yet we are still crying. We pray that the government will come to our aid one day.
I encourage the government to do something serious about it. It's a health hazard. The good roads we build, and then somebody is down, who will ply the road if everybody here is off? Most people are relocating because of this Soot. Houses are vacant, right? Health is number one thing. If you're healthy, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. If you're not, that ends it.
The government are responsible to stop it through the Ministry of Environment, through every other organs of government. There should be proactive measure, proactive pursuit on this matter. If not, the whole people will die.
Yes, indeed. Well, in 2015, actually, before this black Soot appeared on the skies of Port Harcourt, the World Bank actually came out with a report saying that 94% of Nigerians are exposed to air pollution levels that exceed the World Health Organization guidelines. And as a matter of fact, in Africa alone, 600,000 people die from air pollution-related diseases every year. That is really mind-boggling. Yes. And to think that, according to Young Igbara, who is our guest in Port Harcourt, he's saying it doesn't seem like government understands or appreciates this. And the people are wondering, is it until people begin to die? We do hear from doctors in Port Harcourt that the number of people coming into the hospitals for bronchial-related ailments is on the rise. Young Igbara, you were trying to make a point, really, about what you are trying to do so that you can have some kind of concerted efforts, maybe in tandem with government at different levels, to see that there is a solution to this problem.
Yes, we are, but then the fact remains that government, whatever the civil society, we are like almost the third or fourth, set of the government, of society. And in terms of governance, the federal government must show committedness, must show interest, sufficient interest. The state government must do the same, so that whatever the civil society people are able to do solves the problem. That's what we are saying. So you can't have a situation where the federal government is not showing sufficient interest, it's not showing sufficient commitment. The state government is doing same, and you think that the civil society will do what will make it get solved. No, it's not true. Remember, it has to be a holistic effort, because what happens at Soot sometimes don't come from one place. It could come from Akwa Ibom, it could come from Bayelsa, it could come from anywhere, depending on how the wind blows. And so, you could even experience it in Abia State, depending on the wind, the way the wind carries it. Remember that these things are chemical substances that are found and mixed up with the moisture in the air, and so they are carried like that. Sometimes when the air can carry it longer, it falls back as acid rains. The concern we have is that we have to do that which is within our own reach. That government must do that which is within their own reach to ensure that whatever we do becomes a collected effort towards solving these problems. But however, we are committed and we are doing what we should be doing. After the training and after the sensitization of the civil society organizations that will be working on this, we'll definitely get into trying to talk to government, trying to make sure government and ensure that government works in tandem with civil society to see that these problems are solved. But however, you should understand that this issue also, particularly from the area of artisanal refinery, is about governance. What is government doing in the region in the first place? Because if you don't do any serious thing in the region to discourage this, these boys who are doing this artisanal refinery will not come back. And so there must be a committed effort of government towards providing, development, towards providing, the facilities of development in this region.
All right.
For people to be discouraged from doing so. Besides that, the government appear. Hello.
Young Kigbara will have to leave it there.
To have lost that capacity to force, not coercive. Yep.
You have made very strong points. Let's hope that the appropriate authorities will take your point and do something as quickly as possible so that the lives of Nigerians is not further put at risk. Young Kigbara is the chairman, Civil Society Coalition for Environmental Sustainability. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. Of course, countries like China and India are paying a huge cost of this toxic smog phenomenon. And to think these countries are largely industrialized, but can we say the same of ourselves?
Wow.
All right, let's take a very quick breather. And when we come back, we'll be talking about the herdsmen attacks and the impact on food security in Nigeria. Stay with us.